Man, I love the GBA. I was first introduced to it by my older brother when he first bought his Nintendo DS. I thought the slot in the bottom was a place to hold additional DS games, but unbeknownst to me, it was a gateway to some of the greatest games I would ever play on a handheld. Also, fast forward a few years, when I purchased my 3DS at the price point of $249, which was crazy for the price of a handheld. The price was so high, Nintendo decided to drop the price to $169.99. To make it up for the people who bought it at the price point of $249.99, they gave us 10 NES games and 10 GBA games, which was a wonderful gift, and for me, totally made up for the price point $249.99. This is my list of the top 5 greatest GBA games I've ever played. Now before I get to my list, I would like to make some rules for this list. I'm only putting one game per franchise. Number 2, only games that beat. And number 3, no ports. So sorry Yoshi's Island, better luck next time. So with that said, let's start the list. Starting off the list is The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. And Minish Cap is an all-around solid Zelda game. It was actually the first Zelda game I ever beat too. And surprisingly, this game was developed by Capcom, which is pretty cool that Nintendo allowed that. My one criticism I do have for the Minish Cap is that when you're Miniature Link, you're still the same character. You don't have any added abilities, which I think was a missed opportunity to make this game better. An ability I just thought of when Link becomes really small is that he will have the ability to glide, but because he's so light, he becomes much more fragile, and by that, he will take more damage. But another thing that could happen is that Link becomes more agile because he's small, but when he's attacked by someone, he gets pushed away very easily. Anyway, overall, good job Capcom, and if there was anything great that they added in this game, it was this. Coming in at number 4 is WarioWare, and honestly, I didn't really have that much high expectation for this game, but it genuinely did surprise me. When game developers are making games, they usually have in mind how long each gaming session they imagine the players to play. For example, an open world epic type of game like Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild, I would say they expect the average playtime for a player is around 30 minutes. But for games like Angry Birds and Jetpack Joyride, which is a very fun and easy type of game to get into and a very pick up to play type of nature, they are usually meant to be played for like 5 to 10 minutes. And what I love about WarioWare is the duality it possesses by being a game that can be thoroughly enjoyed in a quick burst or in a long session. Naturally, because of the quick nature of the game, it's not really a huge time commitment, so you can play a quick mini game to kill time, or if you want to play a long session, you can just play the story mode. Speaking of story mode, the characters have so much personality. It's something that could have just been a generic game filled with mini games, but Nintendo decided to go above and beyond, and it definitely paid off. Because all these characters look really cool, unique, and that's why fans really love how these characters look. All in all, WarioWare is a solid entry. And whether you've been playing games for years or you play very casually, you will thoroughly enjoy this game. Like most North American Nintendo fans, I didn't know who the hell Marth Aurora was. But because I saw how cool it looked in Melee, I knew I had to play the game at some point. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty underwhelmed when I first saw how Fire Emblem looked like. But after giving it a chance, I started to like it. And once I finally understood how to play the game, I started falling in love with this game. What I found was a really deep and complex strategy RPG game with a lot of depth and story. Too much story if you ask me. What I love about this game is the level of strategy in this game. It has a rock, paper, scissors type of mechanic where sword beats axe, axe beats lance, and it may sound very basic, but it adds a layer of complexity which makes this game so addicting. And to top it all off, it has archers and magic uses and so many other type of classes. With over 50 playable characters you can play in this game, the possibilities are endless for the type of team you can design for yourself. Although I complain about the story, one thing I do like is how your teammate is incorporated into the story. And so instead of feeling like a random NPC that's just a part of your team, it actually feels like a real character with their own goals and motivations and for helping you and being part of your team. And for that reason, you feel that much more inclined to protect them, which I think was a nice touch by the developers to make you feel more connected to these characters. I do love these games, but one major gripe I have is a permadeath system. Although I play with permadeath on in the newer games, can't lie, it really is a mood killer. But my most major criticism for Fire Emblem is how majorly underrepresented the series is in Smash. Nintendo, please fix that. Come on guys. You knew this game was going to be on the list. It was just a matter of when. So Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire was the first Pokemon game I ever beat, and as soon as I did, I instantly fell in love with the Pokemon series, and soon understood why so many people adore these series. Ruby and Sapphire was Pokemon's first major jump from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance, and it didn't disappoint. It introduced Pokemon contests, double battles, and abilities, which I believe abilities are probably one of the most influential things that has ever been implemented to Pokemon. I'm honestly not exaggerating when I say this, but this game is probably the most nostalgic game for me of all time. It may sound ridiculous, but I played so much Ruby and Sapphire during the summer. When I see summer weather, the thoughts are literally synonymous with Pokemon. I hear that glorious music and it brings me back to the summer of 2006. Now, I don't know whether if that's sad or not, but honestly, I don't care because it was a great memory to me. Also, something I found out in the process of researching for this video, but the male protagonist for Ruby and Sapphire didn't dye his hair white, but instead he was wearing a hat this whole time. Now, I knew I couldn't be the only one to think that he was wearing a hat, and all this time I thought he was the first Pokemon trained to actually have some drip. Now I don't even know what to believe anymore. Now before we get to our number 1, I just want to mention a few honorable mentions, that games that were great but didn't make it in the list for whatever reason. Castlevania Aria of Sorrows. Great game, but I just haven't beaten it. Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. Of course those games are classic, but as I mentioned before, one game per franchise. And the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Great game, but sorry it wasn't good enough to make the list. Now, this last game barely edged out Pokemon. If I didn't play this game when I did, Pokemon would have easily made the number 1 spot. But this game was really that good that I had to put Pokemon number 2. And the crazy thing is, when I played it, I had no idea it was going to be this great. And this game is Metroid Fusion. I know, not really surprised if you're someone that frequently watches top 10 lists for GBA, but if you play the game, you'll understand why it's number 1. Holy crap, what a game. I always knew friends and YouTubers that would always hype up Metroid, but until I actually played it, I finally understood what they were talking about. This game is amazing. The controls are tight, the music is so atmospheric, the graphics still look great today, and best of all, you can even grab legends in this game. I know, this game has it all. But for me, the most impressive thing about Metroid Fusion is the fact that it is the scariest non-horror game I've ever played. Allow me to explain. There are certain segments in Metroid Fusion where you get chased by the Sax, fuck it. I like Sax, I'm gonna call it Sax, sounds good to me. What the f you gonna do about it? Anyway, he's the main villain of the game, and because Sax is currently too strong, Samus is forced to flee, and to call these situations stressful would be an understatement. My god, the music is really trying to make you fear for your life. All I gotta say is the enemies got nothing on Sax. For me, this game is so incredible. It is easily the top 10 best games I've ever played. And that's probably one of the games I beat the most. I think I beat it like 4 or 5 times, with no exaggeration. And I can already hear the complaints that, oh, Metroid Fusion is too linear, oh hold your hands. And my response is this.
Man, shut your